Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. So today is an unusual little, not a tutorial per se. I'm going to give you a glimpse into my 2024 sketchbook that I took with me on my retreats overseas and then in my own little vacation I did in Greece afterwards. I'm just going to give you a glimpse of what I paint, why I painted, how it came out, what I thought of it, etc. And you can see how it works. I love a good sketchbook. This one is from Sumatra, like I say, I'll tell you in the video. It's not 100% cotton, so it's okay, but I like the pages because they were thick. I've had some other ones, I have one behind me, that's from Etcher and some other ones. Didn't like the size. I liked the actual paper, the size. If they made the size like this or bigger, I would have been all for that. It's smaller size, and so I was like, make a bigger size. So if Etcher, you're listening, make a bigger size, like an 8x8. I'm down. I'll be promoting that thing till who knows when. So yeah, this is just like a snippet of what I did in 2024. I'm really excited for 2025. If 2024 was a challenging year for you, I'm sorry. I hope 2025 is a better one. And I encourage everybody in 2025 to really just get out of their head with rules and how things should be. And just learn to what is the word? I mean, yes, learn to have fun, but learn to not think about it too much. I find when people come to my retreats, they're overthinking. Just if you just do it and go fast, or just do it and draw it and not even think about it, you have some of the best paintings you've ever done, right? And then you get the experience of getting better and better, in your actual painting, because you're just not. If you're in your head, you're overworking it. I did a workshop in Florida last year, and I was working on the demo the night before, and it was just a mess. It was not coming out right, and we worked on it for an hour, which is nuts. And that's not something I do normally, right? So I had to go to dinner with my husband, and I came back and I painted that sucker in 20 minutes. And it was 10 times better than the one I worked on for an hour, because I wasn't in my head. I was just like, relax, whatever, I'm just going to paint it, and I did. So this is what I encourage you to do in 2025. Just stop thinking about it too much. Just, you can plan, of course. Sometimes planning is good. But sometimes it's just drawing it out, thinking it out, like just drawing with a sketch, a rough sketch, loose sketch. I just did a Patreon tutorial where I just talked about this. Loose rough sketch. You can use watercolor pencils and then wash them with watercolor afterwards. You can still leave the pencil marks. It's just some washes behind it. It's just getting you out of that tight, wound up, kind of frustrating kind of place. You don't want to be frustrated when you're painting. So I hope you have fun looking through my little 2024 sketchbook. I went to London, I went to the UK, I went to Portugal, and I went to Greece on my retreats. So of course before each retreat I went to some of the cities. I went to London, I went to Lisbon, I went to Athens. I didn't really paint much of my sketchbook in Athens. I don't know why. But I just painted more on the island. And then of course the islands that I went to afterwards. But you'll get to see all that. And then you'll get to see a new sketchbook that I just bought. It is probably the most expensive sketchbook that I've ever bought, and has actual real watercolor paper. I mean, this, I wouldn't say actual, because this is watercolor paper, but it's like watercolor paper that you would use, that you would paint a really amazing painting on and then hang it up. And again, people would say, well, why would you spend the money and why would you get a book like that? Again, because sometimes when you're not thinking about it and you just have a sketchbook and you paint something amazing, you might paint something, where'd it go? I'm sorry. Like I did my card, right? This cute little sketch I did in my sketchbook, in my book here, turned out to be my Christmas card, because I love the feeling of it. I love the look of it, and I wasn't thinking about it too much. It's just a sketchbook, and that's what happens. And so, yeah, maybe you can't hang it on the wall, but if you didn't paint every single page, like front and back, you could just cut it out and then hang it on your wall. And I have some friends who've done that. They've sold some paintings from their sketchbook. So you could do that. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you like looking at my 2024 watercolor sketchbook with some of my retreat venues and some excursions that I went on. If you're ever interested in doing retreat venues, I post them publicly after they go on Patreon if they don't sell. So it pays to be a Patreon member. If you want to be a Patreon member, click the link in the description box below. I've had some workshops that are coming up soon in February and March. That sold out on Patreon in 2 hours, so that didn't even go public, and I have some more I'm going to announce in like this month in January. I'm sorry, not this month, December. Next month. So if you're a Patreon member, I'll be announcing that and look out for that. That will be for Maine in August and Boston in October. I know I found a venue in Boston, amazing. So it really pays to be a Patreon member, and it really helps support me here on YouTube, and so I really appreciate that. But without further ado, let's take a peek inside my sketchbook. Okay, to start off with, this sketchbook is from Sumatra. I think I got it on Amazon. It was probably like $20. It's not 100% cotton. It is like, I think 80-20 or something like that. It's not, maybe 50-50. I can't remember exactly. I liked it because the thickness of the paper, and it does okay with the watercolor, so that's why I picked it. It was my second one I've done. Obviously, I went into London first because my first retreat was in the UK, and I just had fun playing with things like that. And so what I encourage people to do on my retreats is do these things called vignettes, walk around the property, and we just do little thumbnails, and then go back in and we'll just quickly just paint in them. It just teaches you to look for things that are interesting, and you could do as many as you want. I did 2-page spread here. This is like a gate at the actual venue area, and a church that belongs like right there too in the property. And they had a beautiful greenhouse because they have beautiful gardens here. And you just looked at, like, okay, maybe you look at the gardens and you look at the calla lilies they were in the gardens, and the delphiniums, and the foxgloves, and even just a funky tree that they had, all that great stuff. Always look for something in these flowers. I forget what kind of flowers these are, but we went on an excursion to Rye, UK, which is a beautiful town, and I did this demonstration. Plein air demonstration to the retreat venue guests, and then everyone either drew it or didn't draw it, or they took pictures and they would draw it and paint it later. It's up to them. You don't have to always do the plein air. We went to a place called Sissinghurst Castle, and this is like my little painting from this, which is what it looks like. And then there's like a little, again, you walk through the gardens, and there's like a little area that I liked. Took a photograph of this little scene here, and I painted it later. On the windows, purists would say you can't have gouache, but you know what? It's a sketchbook. It's supposed to have fun. You don't have to be so pure about it. I put gouache for the windows. It makes it a lot easier. Then I did for the retreat venue, like we're talking about, I don't really do a lot of people. I don't really paint a lot of people because it's just not my forte. It's not my thing, but I like to play with it every now and then. And I like to do like interior scenes. So we had one of our beautiful guests, Katrina. She posed for us. We did something like this actually on my Patreon, but we did this in the retreat too as well. So I would take photographs. We would put it up on like an iPad, and we'd pick a photograph that we liked, and then I would do a demonstration and show them like how I would do this, and then we would go and paint it. And it's just, again, a loose, simple watercolor illustration. Same thing with this one. We had another one, Bonnie, who like posed for us. I did mine like really tiny. Like she was in front of the lighthouse. The greenhouse. Oh my goodness. Somebody needs to take a nap. The greenhouse. And this is that same town in Rye. That the different view of that same house on the side, as you're walking up the walkway. Have these beautiful tree and these wisteria vines everywhere. In England they have a lot of wisteria. This is that same town. This is like looking down. The street went down, and it was like very cobblestone type of street. You can sit there and paint every little stone. You go crazy. You can't do that. But these beautiful medieval houses are so pretty, and you're just kind of getting the feeling for it. You're just loosely painting that in. Otherwise you'd go crazy trying to paint everything nook and cranny. And this is that same town. This is like, again, another little. You walk by and you say, "Oh, I love the wisteria growing here in this little area," and just kind of paint something like that. You don't have to paint everything you see. Just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like I didn't even finish this wall here. You don't have to do that. This is back at the venue again, walking into that gate. Remember I had that small venue earlier? The vignette. Now we're kind of actually more bigger kind of scene here, and really kind of playing with shadow and light, with the light here hitting this wonderful gate door, and just greens and a little bit of wisteria over here. Just kind of a little pretty area. around the property, in the streets, there was a cute little houses. This was a cute little West cottage. I had to paint this. It was so cute. There was a pub, so it was really cool. That venue was absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I love that place. I would love to go back there. Maybe one day we'll be able to go back there again to do another retreat. Again, this was part of the retreat venue. This was like the old horse stables, and this is walking through where you'd walk through to go to the garden. And again, playing with the light and shadow. It's more interesting to me than just like just painting the actual object, like the getting really the feel of the light and the dark in the actual area. So that was my UK, and I finished it off with Rye again because I love this town. I actually turned this into my Christmas card this year for some people. I did another one for Christmas card. And what I do is I scan my paintings in from my sketchbook, and then I added some Christmas elements on the actual windows and doorways and stuff like that. It's kind of fun. So then we're off to Lisbon. Well, we're going to Portugal, and I was in Lisbon first before I went to the Portugal venue. I have those trolley cars everywhere. They're kind of fun to play. This is the famous 28 one because it takes you through this whole route that's like amazing, and you can see those beautiful buildings. So again, we're doing the vignettes around the property. This is like looking into the studio, some of the trees they had and blooms. Really kind of pretty. There's little beds by the pool, and just like little statues by the pool and all this. So it's a whole different vibe from the UK. And I went to the UK in May. I went to Portugal in June. And so you're talking tropical kind of foliage and bright colors and flowers and warm enough to swim. This is a town in Lagos. It's a little vignette. I love the little tile. There's a lot of tile in Portugal. It's amazing. Like all the buildings are so cool. Tons of tile patterns. The tile pattern here, and this little scooter, and again we're playing with shadow and light. I'm not too happy about this, but it's a sketchbook. Who cares? Again, we did some posing kind of scenarios again on the property, and this is one of our guests, BJ. Hello, how are you doing? If you're watching this, I just kind of play with that. I'm not amazing at doing people in portraits. It's not my thing, but I definitely have to try and push myself. This is a view from sitting up like where we would eat dinner and breakfast. There's the ocean way in the background. I mean, it's not as close as it looks in this picture. There's this funky like pine tree there, and I'm just like, if you cut the tree down, you can see the view. And she's like, never cutting that tree down. I'm like, but me, I'd be like, I can see the view of the ocean better, but whatever. Hilarious. I took a photograph of this area in this town we went to for an excursion in Lagos. We learned a history about it and took some pictures. I like this funky tree and a little kid walking. It's kind of cool. It wasn't my favorite. I had envisioned a different way to go, but hey, again, it's sketchbook. There are all these tile buildings. Now, perspective is also very tricky. People ask me all the time about perspective. It is, again, people and things like this, perspective, not my forte. I just kind of wiggle it. I basically, you get the gist of how the perspective is. Basic perspective, 2 point, going like this. You're going towards 2 points. There's tons of videos all over YouTube and everywhere else. People who are architects can teach you about perspective. Please watch those. I am not one of those people. I struggled with perspective in college, so it's still my bane. I can't stand it. We did a boat excursion and took a look at the grottos, and this is kind of cool, and I was playing with that in the water. Again, this paper is very conducive for like wonderful painting like waters because the paper is not super 100% cotton. But what's cool about it is that it has perforated right here, so you could kind of rip it out if you want to give it to somebody. If you didn't paint each side and just painted one side, you could rip it out if you really like it and frame it. This is one of my guests here, Beth, and she was on the boat on that excursion. And again, playing with trying to paint people because I've tried to force myself to do things that I normally don't do. And you should always try and do that. This is a town, Luche. We took a tiny little Uber there. It was a 5-minute ride or 8-minute ride there, and a ton of water. Of course, the water was too cold to swim in there. It doesn't get warm. I don't think it really gets warm in Portugal to swim. And if it did, it would have to be July, and we were there in June. So you could dip your foot in the water, but not swim there. So again, playing with the shadow of the palm trees and whatnot. This is like another doorway. I had to go back to Lisbon again to go home. So I'm painting some like doorways that I saw. And here's a little there's so many cool venues you can, like vistas. You can go up in Lisbon, like up in the hill, and look down across way over on the other side of the hill, and you can see things like this. And I walked like down the hill, way down around up to this big castle. It was really kind of cool. There's down by the waterfront. There's this big, huge structure here, and this big yellow building. I actually stayed right over in here, and there's a big square that everyone kind of conjugates and hangs out. And they do a lot of activities here too, like festivals and stuff like that. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have a thing peacock, because my neighbor behind me has a peacock that is so obnoxious and loud. And this one of the castles I went to in Portugal, it had tons of peacocks everywhere. So I had to paint a peacock. Had to do it. And so my last retreat was in Greece. And of course I flew into Athens, and then the hotel view was this view of the Acropolis, and kind of cool view, way far in distance, but cool nonetheless. And again, we're doing the vignettes. And so we went to the island of Zakynthos. I will be going back to Athens and Portugal, by the way, in 2025. All my retreats are sold out for 2025, so you'll have to look for them in 2026. And they go to Patreon first, and then whatever's left over goes to public. And I always announce it on the socials, so please look out for them. So we do the vignettes again. The property is still looking this way, and there's a little hut or house here. I think it holds like beach stuff, whatever. This is by the pool, and this is the other view looking out. You're right on the water in our venue in Greece. It's amazing. That went public for a long time, so if you guys missed out, I'm sorry. And we go to Zante town, it's a little town here, and it was really kind of hard to sit down. I was sitting in the cafe with fellow guests trying to do we're all trying to sketch and whatever. It's just the building's right in your face, and there's a lot of people, and it's just not conducive to something like that. But you do your best. And I took a photograph, and I used that. Again, people aren't my forte, so, I struggled with this one. It's really not my favorite by any means, but it's there to just remind me to work on it. We were supposed to go on a boat excursion to see the famous Shipwreck Beach, but 2 days before it was a storm, and so the seas were too rough to take a boat. We would be throwing up the whole time. So we did it, Plan B, which was amazing. We went through all these different towns, and we went to a monastery, and this is the monastery, and you walk down from the monastery, and there's the ocean, a little cross here, and this little building here, and the view was just incredible. And this is part of the monastery. This little Debbie, if you're watching, this is you. That's you, Debbie, in your blue dress. Really beautiful monastery, and we saw the monks making mosaics for this church in Jersey, actually. So it was kind of cool to watch them make mosaics for that. Then my Greece retreat was done. I didn't do any more on that, and I personally went to different islands in Greece with my husband. So if you were a Patreon member, you saw me do a demo of this. I stayed right in front of the domes on Santorini in Ia, which was nuts because we had to deal with so many. There's a video my husband took, trying to push the crowds out of the way, trying to get to our hotel room, and they believe that you're trying to cut the line, and actually got accosted by an old lady and an old man. And like, are you kidding me? Just trying to get to my room. Right. And I read that it was difficult to get to the room, but one day it was absolutely insane to get to my room. So again, it's unfinished here. There's a lot of little buildings you can paint here. I just didn't want to focus on that. I just want to focus on this. The domes, and there's another one over here. So it was kind of really beautiful, but I wouldn't go back to Santorini personally. I just too touristy, too crazy, not my kind of thing. So this is Santorini again. Walking down a little further, just on the other side of in the same town, Ia, they have the windmills here. There's just tons of variations of buildings. You could go crazy trying to paint every single one perfectly. You would go nuts, and it would not suffice. You just kind of rough it in. You sketch it in, you rough it in, just kind of put the ink in there. There was another little, again, vignette. There was a woman actually posing for her Instagram, whatever, and I took a picture of her and did this picture for my sketchbook. I'm not selling it, so she's not going to have to worry about it, but I was playing around with it. This sketchbook didn't do really well with a solid color, so I can't wait to try the other one. It's not great. And then we went to, I'm sorry, I had painted Santorini before, which is kind of crazy. I'm going backwards, all around, bopping around while we went to the islands. We didn't go to Santorini first. After my retreat, we went to the island called Paros, and it's my favorite island of all of them. So I don't know why I painted Santorini first, but it's another story. We went to this island first. And this is a town in that island, Lefkes, I think it's how you say it. I can't remember how to say it correctly. This is a famous vignette in Paros. I actually saw there was nobody even around there taking pictures. I was shocked. Beautiful with the bougainvillea and this beautiful vignette in that town. The town was so pretty, and this is like a cafe. We sat here, had like lunch, and there's this beautiful bright yellowish building here, and there's a cafe right here. We're sitting here on these tables. And then the port in Paros. This is one of my actually favorite pictures in the sketchbook. I love the boats and the port, and like there's beautiful restaurants there, and people stand on the chairs and swing their little napkins, and they play Mamma Mia songs. It was a gorgeous town. A lot of couples go there, but younger people and less couples are going there now because everyone knows about how beautiful it is. It's one of my favorite towns. We also went to this island called Milos because I had a killer redemption there, and they have this beach they call Moon Beach because it's all these these rocks that are like amazing, and people dove into the water. They had boats out here that kind of went in here with their kayaks, and then way down here, it's go Google Milos Moon Beach, whatever, and you'll see it. It's amazing. It's really cool. And then in further down this way, there are these. Once you get down to the bottom, you can walk through there's these passageways inside the rocks that are like mazes. I was not going in them because I'm not dealing with that. My husband did. I was like, nope. Now we went to Paros. We did this kind of weird circle way because I was doing a redemption. So we went to Paros, Milos, Santorini, and then Naxos. And so Naxos, we drove around. There's a bunch of different towns in Naxos. Naxos is famous for their beaches. The beaches are amazing there. It was okay weather. It was terrible. It was too windy the first day we got there. Couldn't really swim. The second day we bopped around to these towns, and the third day we swam, and it was just a perfect day to swim. And if I had another few days, I would just swim the whole time. This beautiful little windmill. This little town called Chalky. I bought this amazing lady who's been there since the 70s, hand weaving the fabric to make these bags and whatever. And I bought her bags because they were drop dead amazing. Just absolutely cute little town. I just loved it. And that's kind of all I did when I finished my book. It's just really beautiful. So now when I go away, I got this new book. So that's it. That's my trip for 2024. I have a brand new sketchbook that I'll be using in 2025. It's a lot bigger and thicker, and actually it's the most expensive sketchbook I've ever bought. I'm going to reveal it in a second. So there are some artists that I love that I follow myself, and one of them had this book, and they make cold press, hot press, and rough, and I got the cold press. I ordered it from a store in London called Bromley's. I put the link in there. It took me almost a month to get this thing, probably because it was Christmas time, but I was frustrated. And it's the most expensive book I bought because of the shipping, probably too, and without shipping. It's a $50 book, and the shipping was another $20. I don't know. It was $70 to buy this book. It's 100% cotton, and it's real watercolor paper. This is a beautiful book. Look at the deckled edges of this book. So this is big time watercolor, and the paper is just like your paper you would use. I'm wondering if the texture is a little. I'm wondering if I should have ordered a rough. I might go and buy a rough now because it doesn't have a lot of super texture, and I was really looking for a lot of super texture. So I'll have to play with it, but it's not cheap by any means. But it's the real paper. So I'm really excited to use this sketchbook. It's a lot bigger though, so it's going to be heavy traveling with it. I'll have to get used to that. I was going to bring it to a wonderful place I'm going to in March that I will reveal soon enough to my patrons and some people on Instagram. And, this is much more easier to travel with, less heavy, which is nice. So we'll see how I do with this one. And people say all the time, why would you get a sketchbook? Why would you paint in that? And like, what's the point of painting a nice painting in that? Why not? It's a record of like your travel. It's just a record of some ideas. Not every page has to be some beautiful painting. It could just be a thought or an idea. Or you could do like just like you painted the cup you had in this cafe in Paris, or wherever you are. If you're in the States, I have a sketchbook where I had painted some stuff. I went to Yellowstone. Going around the countries from some of my workshops this year. I might paint something in my sketchbook from Charleston or in Arizona, and all that good stuff. It's just a really great tool to have, just to have a record of things. And then again, some of the actual, like you saw the picture I did in Rye, I turned it to a greeting card, my Christmas card, which is actually right here. See how I added the little elements? And so I did that with one of the sketches from my sketchbook that I did in 2023 with Italy. Because I liked the way it came out. I thought it was just a different way to make a greeting card. It doesn't always have to be a Christmas item. It could be like a place and you add some Christmas things to it. Think outside the box. Same thing could be for spring. It could be for fall. You see what I'm saying? Great tool. And sometimes when you're doing a sketchbook, your paintings are less intimidating. They actually come out much better. So I hope you enjoyed my little journey. And so in 2025, I really encourage you to take out that sketchbook, paint some things you see around. You could have one sketchbook just full of birds. You could have one sketchbook full of found objects around your house. And the more you do things like this, the better you're going to be as an artist. I'm telling you, it's really teaching you to observe things, right? Or think of ideas. And that's what it's about. I have tons of sketchbooks of just drawings, right? I have those too. I just showed you the one with watercolor. But these are the things that really help you grow and get better as an artist. And then when you see a painting that you kind of sketched out, you're like, I actually want to paint that painting to a real painting. Like, it could be this size, could be this size, could be this size. It just helps you. It's another tool. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great New Year's, and just look forward to 2025 being like the best year yet. Take care. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.